I know this is shocking. I'm not ignoring a tag. It's weird. I don't know what's going on. Okay, tag time. Because this looked fun, and I'm being peer pressured because everyone else did it, and also I'm gonna only do like there's 6 things, and I'm only doing 4 of them properly. But we'll see why. And the first is a classic book, and I haven't read a lot of classics. I can say completely honestly, and I am planning on changing that next year. And I am deciding, hey, if you're gonna start with something, why not start with a 1,200-page book? But it's a 1,200-page book that's supposed to be completely engaging with fantastic characterization and perfect pacing. And that will be edition. Yes, I have an Easton Press edition of this book I haven't read, but in my defense, I wasn't going to get a mass market paperback for this, and the hardcover was like almost as expensive anyways. So it's the Count of Monte Cristo, which I have a fancy edition for. That's really nice. And yeah, she thick. By Alexander Dumas. You know, and a huge motivator for reading this book, other than like everyone says it's really good, is if I love it, then I can crap on Best Served Cold more by comparing the two, and that just sounds really exciting to me. So next up is number 2, a fiction book, which presumably this means like just like contemporary fiction. And so I have a book here that I am going to read pretty early in 2023. I think I'm going to read like 1 non-fantasy sci-fi book a month in 2023. And likely the first one I will be reading is, because it's my mom's favorite book of all time, or if not favorite book of all time, like one of her favorite books of all time. And that is The Kite Runner by, I don't want to butcher that pronunciation, so I'm not even going to try, which is supposed to be all happy and only about good things happening. Yeah, for sure. So, you know, my mom read Realm of the Elderlings and the Stormlight Archive, and she was like, so, I've now read 6 million words of your favorite series. My favorite books are like way shorter and not giant series, and I was like, well, that seems fair. And now she's like, it's taking months, and I read it right away. And I'm like, you didn't read it right away. I've been trying to get you to read books for years. But anyways, Kite Runner, gonna happen, and will be a fiction book. And a non-fiction book, it's going to be books I have to read for school, which I'm not going to specifically name, because there'll be stuff I have to read for school. And I'm not going to read more non-fiction, because I already have to read stuff for school, and when I'm done school, I'll read some non-fiction, but that isn't now. So this is one of the categories I'm not really doing. And number 4 is a genre book, and presumably this can be any genre, and fantasy is the best genre, so this is going to be a fantasy book. And it's a book that, yes, I should have read, and it's right up my alley, and it's totally for me, and also I got tagged by Alan. It's A Shadow in Summer by Daniel Abraham. This really sounds like my kind of thing. It's like a family drama about character relationships that takes place over a long time. Like, yeah, inject that into my veins. And I probably should have read it. I've been getting distracted. It's been on the list for a while. And also, I just think it's funny to not read a book Alan is pushing, because it's what he does. And he's going all hipster mode, and I want to counter hipster him. So, I'm going to be honest, that's one of the main reasons why I'm probably going to read Curse of the Challeon before I read this. But I am going to read this, and I should read this, and yeah. Next, we have the book I've owned for the longest time, but not read yet. And I kind of have 2 ways to answer this. I've technically owned A Darker Shade of Magic for longer than I've owned this book, but I never actually went out and bought Darker Shade of Magic. It's a book my sister owned, and then she, moved and just left some books here, and that was one of the series she left, because she didn't want to take it with her. So it's like, yeah, it's been on my bookshelf, but I didn't choose to go out and buy it. So I believe the book that I went out and bought, that I have had the longest, is a book that's kind of doing what Fire and Blood did. It's just it's always kind of on my TBR, but it keeps just moving down. So it's always 30th on my TBR. And that is The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm actually pretty excited for The Silmarillion. I reread Lord of the Rings this year and loved it. I know it's very different from Lord of the Rings, but whatever. So I'm pretty excited to see what's going on here. yeah, because I really feel like I failed as a nerd by not reading the Silmarillion. Anyway, and the last section is tag people, but I feel like I've really hopped on the bandwagon here and done this last. I feel like everyone else has already done this or was already planning on doing this. But, like, if no one's tagged you, you can just pretend I tagged you. Because, yeah, I don't know. I'm not good at keeping track of which people have done which tags. So, or who's been tagged. You've probably already been tagged. Everyone's done it. But anyway, that's my version of it. Hey, this video actually wasn't absurdly long. Go me.